Welcome to the Boss Ladies Breakroom, the financial literacy series, brought to you by Boss Ladies Maurcrei and Miss Camay,
where we educate, inspire, and empower our audience to take action in building generational wealth and protecting your family's assets with trust documents. Welcome to the Boss Ladies Breakroom. Woo! And Happy New Year to everyone out there. We realize that 2025 is such a big and monumental year for so many people, and we want to make sure that you start it off properly. So I am here. I am one of your co-hosts. My name is Maurcrei, and I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Camay Dunn. And what we are doing this year is we are looking to educate, inspire, and empower you to make the right decisions behind financial literacy. So this is a financial literacy series, and we couldn't be more proud to be here. We're very excited about that. And today we're actually going to be talking about the top 5 ways to get yourself up and running in the right direction, a kickstart to your 2025. And Miss Camay is actually going to be talking about the documents that are going to support that. But before we do, guys, I want to make sure that you guys understand that getting your first foot down on the ground in the right direction matters way more than what we're about to talk about. You having a set plan and knowing exactly the direction that you want to head in is the most important and pivotal part of this conversation today. So before we talk about our call outs, I want to encourage you to think about the people who support you the most in your life. Think about all the people who are your supporting cast and lean into them. And the reason why I'm saying this is because you are watching and witnessing a series that is built on the foundation of sisterhood. Yes. And I cannot tell you how many times Camay and I have talked about just how deep a topic that is. But this year, I want to start off by offering a word of the year. So 2025 for me happens to be about accountability. So that is my word this year for 2025. Miss Camay has actually helped me as a sister and someone that I admire. And she is actually the queen of making sure that people are accountable. And I say that in the most positive light. She has helped me look at myself, pay attention to the things that I need to do professionally, personally. And I just want to encourage you all out there to lean into the people that care about you the most. So the fact that we're talking about financial literacy, think about the people who are in your innermost circle and the closest people to you to figure out and find out who you can lean into. There is something so strong about being accountable and staying accountable. And so sometimes the people closest to you are there to help keep you accountable, right? Mm-hmm. So my word of the year is accountability. Miss Camay, do you have a word of the year this year? What are you thinking?
Well, I will say, the accolades that you have spoken about me and the support that I have been to you, you have been the same support to me. And, as we've been preparing for our series launch for the Boss Ladies Breakroom, we've been talking to other boss ladies around the country, around the world, essentially, right?
Yes.
And highlighting them and introducing them to the Boss Ladies Breakroom and, our plans for the year with fellow boss ladies. And I would say my word for the year is going to be greatness. I really want to focus on leveling up and really walking in my greatest greatness and encouraging and empowering other boss ladies to do the same. I feel that there's so many worldly programming. There's so much, so many distractions that are going on around us that can really take us off our game. And, if we start comparing ourselves or start looking at other boss ladies and what other boss ladies are doing, boss ladies and boss men, right? Because the Boss Ladies Breakroom, I mean, we got room for the kings in here too, right?
Oh, exclusive, baby.
Yeah. So, oftentimes, we can get distracted by things that are going on in the world, and it can minimize and kind of, throw some shade, on our greatness. And so I want to make sure in all of our series in, social media marketing, just, my business as a whole, that I am really encouraging our audience to walk in their greatness because there's success in the follow-up, success and greatness and all of that.
I
So
love that.
yeah,
I love
great
that. I
question.
love
Great
that.
question.
Yes,
And
yes.
and also while you talk about leaning on your friends, right? Leaning on your support system, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I want to introduce to the Boss Ladies Break Room. This is our first series, and we've got a whole year of content planned for you guys. I want to give a loud, like bullhorn shout out to our series sponsor, Barry Gibson, aka BG.
Yes.
He saw our introduction video, and he immediately reached out and offered his marketing services. The virtual background that you guys are seeing today is sponsored by Barry Gibson, aka BG.
Wow.
Um, and this is where the power comes in, right? This is where greatness is at. So
Mm-hmm.
when we support each other, and again, it's not just boss lady to boss lady, it's boss man to boss lady as well. So when we support each other in our own greatness, fabulous, amazing things happen. So
Mm.
I want to introduce you guys to Barry Gibson, aka BG. I've known Barry for over 25 years. We met back in Washington State when he was in the Navy, became friends with him and his wife. And, about 5 years ago, him and we were commuting on the train together in Seattle and, talking about this, talking about podcasts, talking about, the greatness that he had within him. He is a huge Cowboys fan. If you guys know BG, he
Ooh.
is a huge Cowboys fan. He's labeled the Cowboys Unifier because
Mm.
he brings Cowboy fans around the country together at live NFL events. And he's really
Wow.
doing big, big things. He's a veteran.
Mm.
As I said, he's in the military. He served in the military. He was a recruiter for several years. And he's a major, significant advocate for cannabis
Mm-hmm.
in regards to using cannabis to treat PTSD, excuse me.
Ooh,
So
wow.
he's got a big
Wow.
following, regarding his advocacy around cannabis and the medical use of cannabis.
Oh, so important.
And that Cowboys unifier, I'm telling you guys, if you're a Cowboys fan, you gotta connect with BG. Like he will give you all the tea, all the tea,
Yes.
all the tea. So thank you so much, Barry Gibson, aka BG, for your sponsorship for the Boss Ladies Break Room. You
Good looking.
guys, this is greatness. When you
Mm-hmm.
come together and you support each other in business, has nothing to do with politics, has nothing to do with race, has nothing to do with gender. This is about people supporting people, and that's what we're doing here in the break room every
There
month.
you go. Yes. And Miss Camay did exactly what I just mentioned. She leaned into a friend, right? She got a sponsorship out of something that she wasn't even trying to do. So this is beautiful. That's the way that the year should start off. If you lean into your friends and you channel your greatness, beautiful, fabulous things will happen. That's like one of my favorite words that you use.
That's
So I
right.
want to make sure that you guys are very much into what we're going to dig into today because it's a very engaging topic. However, I want to make sure that you guys like, follow, and subscribe to our YouTube channels. Miss Camay International or Creative Consulting Concepts are two channels that you guys can clue into, learn a little bit more about the Boss Ladies Break Room, and of course, the hosts themselves. So we're super excited to be here and hosting with you guys. And of course, we are always here to inspire, educate, and empower you to do the right things based on financial literacy. And the financial literacy series today has a call out from both myself and Miss Camay.
Yeah, what's your
As we
call out? What's your call out, Maurcrei? Let's get into
girl, listen.
it. Like we got
So,
all this tea dropping today. I'm ready.
woo, it's serious. So, There is something called a financial portfolio. And I know that today's topic is going to cater to a financial portfolio, but I really want this concept to resonate with those of you who are watching so that you understand why it's even necessary to start a financial portfolio. This comes down to helping family and doing things the right way so that you can set up those future folks who are sitting behind you, waiting for you to move on and elevate to the next place. And when you go to the next place, and we'll call it our mansion in the sky, when you get to that place, you need to be prepared. And someone prior to you should know how to prepare themselves. So we're going to dig into that. And before we do, I want to make sure that you guys understand what financial literacy is about. Now, this is a term that people have thrown out all over the place, and I want to make sure that you get it before we get started. But Miss Camay, what is your call out? Let's talk about your call out today.
Yeah, so my call out is about educating and informing our audience about the importance of having a last will and testament prepared.
Mm.
So, as you introduce your topics today, I want to explain what a last will and testament is and why every person over the age of 18 absolutely needs to have this prepared.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. It's so big. Perfect. Well, let's dig right into it, you guys. You know that financial literacy is a term of measure to understand just where you're at intellectually based on decision making with money. So, this might mean terms that you might need to learn, things that you may have heard about that you might need to research, and skills that you want to build after understanding some of these terms in order to be more financially stable, more financially educated, more financially well. And those are the premise for today's topic from me. I want to make sure that you guys have a kind of a kickstart list for your 2025 and that you feel confident in making those steps. So I'm going to give you my top five, and then I'm just going to give you a little bit of understanding for each one of those. And then we'll move into what Miss Camay is talking about. So first and foremost, there is nothing like being prepared. I have learned this actually myself a little bit more this last week. Preparedness is so important, you guys. Making sure that you have a list or something that you can go from, build on for your year is pivotal in making sure that you are successful. So my number one step for you to get prepared is to create a top three list of what you would like to do in 2025 to set yourself up financially. Okay. The top three things, in my opinion, are understanding a little bit more about terminology surrounding financial literacy. This could mean anything that you're interested in. Maybe you want to learn a little bit more about investment, so you dig deep there. Maybe you're interested in high yield savings accounts, which we're going to talk about today. Maybe you want to dig into companies that actually make more sense for you and your lifestyle. Those are the things that we're going to be talking about. So your top three things is step one for your goals for this coming year. You want to have it set up, you want to have it written down, and you want to have it so that you can go back and refer to it. I don't know if you guys knew this, but psychologically, as you see lists that are set out right in front of you that you can actually reference every single day, maybe it's a list going past the front door. You're leaving the door and your list is right there. Or maybe you're leaving your bedroom and your list is posted. The more that you see this list posted, those top
Exactly.
three goals, the easier it's going to be for you to accomplish them. So that
Exactly.
is step number one. Step number two, this can be a kind of a funky one. I think that people don't realize that setting aside a small nest egg is what is going to actually catapult you to having and earning more money. Believe it or not, when you have one particular limit set for yourself to start your year off right, more abundance comes your way. And again, this comes down to, of course, making the right financial literacy decisions, but also having a base or a foundation to start from. So, not only with that list, that foundational list of top threes, my second plan for you to do is to save at least $1,000. In today's society, we have 8 out of 10 people in our regular society functioning that do not have $1,000 saved for a rainy day. Did you
Yeah,
know
it's
that?
crazy.
Yeah, do your
Crazy.
research, you guys. We also want to give you information, but we want you to go out and make sure that you're taking care and taking action on these things yourself. My number three is saving an amount daily. And this can be difficult for some, but I'm going to give you a quick scenario on a way that you can do this. Friends of mine love Starbucks. I'm a tea girl. I don't drink coffee, but they love Starbucks. And sometimes they'll take a friend out to go and grab a coffee, or they'll make a run and they'll get maybe 3 or 4 people a coffee. Well, my mom likes to call Starbucks $5 because nothing that you order there is under $5. But I will tell you
Yeah.
this, girl, $5. I mean, and it
They
adds
may be
up.
seven
Listen,
nowadays, you
listen,
know?
and I haven't gone in there, but I'm like, yo, I know myself. I'm gonna go in there and splurge and be buying salads and stuff I don't need. Like,
Yeah.
so I think that what we need to do is pay attention to the level of anonymity that we have with money. The reason why I say paying attention to the level of anonymity is because if you know where your base foundation is at, let's say you only have a certain amount of money for rainy days, that step two is not going to make as much sense if you're not actually doing a routine saving daily. And I'm going to give you guys a number: $27 a day from today, right now, until 2036, I believe it is. 2036 will get you, if you take that money and put it into there's that clue again, a high yield savings account. $27 will put you in the $100,000 range, because the company, depending on who you choose, and I'm going to give you that clue too, the company that you choose is going to help you create compounding interest. Compounding interest is a concept that happens when you take a certain amount or a nominal amount every single day and you save it and you leave it where it's at. So, this is money that you in your mind don't know exists. This is money that you make certain that every day, let's say every morning you wake up and you're like, oh, let me send myself some money. When you start to put a certain amount in your high yield savings account, and at that $27, you are looking at $365,000 in just 11 years. And I say that to say, if you go to Starbucks 2 or 3 times a week, you have your $27
Mhm.
that you would be spending in a day. Think about how many people spend frivolously every single day, and that amount of money will build up because of the compounding interest in those high yield savings accounts, and you will have a whole bunch of money to call your own. So this is where we want to move into. Okay, so that is step three, and the reason why step three is so uber important is because compounding interest is going to grow over the years.
Well, it's
This
free
is,
money. It's free
girl,
money.
this is
It's
what I'm
not your money,
saying.
it's the bank's money
And you
that you're
guys,
earning on the
thank
amount that you're
you.
saving every day.
Listen, and this is not taxable. While everyone else is like, I wonder how much money I have to pay. You don't pay taxes every year like you would if you were to put it into an IRA. You don't pay taxes on a high yield savings account. Now,
Right.
your APR is going to be 4.92 or higher, but you do not pay taxes every year on a savings account. And here's my clue for number four. My top two places that I would suggest that you should look into if you're listening close is Fidelity and Charles Schwab. They are going to give you the greatest rate of return on your investment at this very moment. Now, it might be a little bit different in a year, but right now, guys, we're talking about 2025. And if you want to set yourself up and get yourself on the right foot, look into those two companies and see what you find out. You would be very surprised at how much money you get to save by opening an account with Fidelity or Charles Schwab. All right, on to number four. I want to talk about high yield savings accounts. I think that people don't understand that since steps one, two, and three have to be done, a high yield savings account is something that we should all be researching because, as I just mentioned, it is not a taxable account. It is an account that you will have to pay attention to, keep it in a high regard so that you can start dumping money into that every day. If I were 20 to 30 years old, I would be dumping $10 a day into that account. But now that I'm in my 40s, from 35 to 45, I should be dumping $27 a day into that account. Now, I'm going to have to take my own advice on this because I learned a little bit late in the game, as I mentioned to you
Mhm.
guys in the intro series. I want to make sure that anybody who's out there listening can pay attention to how much money will grow in their account. Now,
Yeah.
I use Fidelity. Fidelity is also an S&P 500 partner. So I'll be talking to you guys this year about ways that you can be fruitful and that you can be more abundant based on decision making, simple decision making. So that is number 4 of our list. Number 5, and guys, this is so important. I just saw something on the news and I thought, you know what? I'm going to chime in with Miss Camay and I'm going to ask her why the heck this is so important. But this was actually on the news. So my research was a little bit extra with this. I dug right into it and I started figuring out ways that I could talk to people in my family about a last will and testament, mainly because I have family members who are not quite set up yet. And I'm just realizing this as we're bumping into people who are aging. And as I see that, I thought to myself, you know what? This is a topic that needs to be addressed. So that, you guys, is my number 5 suggestion. Start out this year with a last will and testament. And Miss
Yes,
Kamei,
amen to
maybe you
that.
can, girl, you can help us really create that first level of our portfolio. All of these things, guys, will be going into a portfolio, which we'll be talking about building in the next few series. But Miss Kamei, you have number 5 down, and maybe you can help us understand why is a last will and testament so important, and what exactly is a last will and testament.
Yeah, so first off, I mean, those are amazing goals to, educate and inspire and empower our audience to take action on, right?
Yes,
That's our
ma'am.
motto, you guys. You're going
Yes,
to hear
girl.
that in all of our series. That's what we want to do. We are
Yes.
passionate about that. We are dedicated to that. Those are
Yes.
great financial goals. Great
Yes.
financial goals.
Little kickstart list.
Yeah, yeah. There are so many ways that, just to kind of piggyback off of your financial literacy,
Hmm.
this is something that I learned late in life as well.
Hmm.
I'm over 50, and I
Hmm.
would say within the last 10 years, my financial literacy education has grown, right?
Mm.
So I just want to throw out there when take accountability and
Hello.
responsibility for your financial position in life,
Hmm.
you begin to discuss your relationship with money. Money is simply
Mm.
a tool. Some
Hmm.
people have said, oh, money is, the root of all evil. No, money is a tool.
Sure
It is,
is.
it is essentially a tool that we can use. And the more tools we have, the more we can do, right?
Yes.
So there are credit card offers, countless credit card offers out there. One little kind of nugget I'm going to drop. We're spending money anyway, right? So you
Hmm.
guys need to lock your debit cards. You should not be
Mm.
using your debit cards for any transactions at all. Number one, with all the fraud that's going on, somebody gets your debit account number, your account number, they can clean out your account, take all of
Mm.
your money. Okay.
Hmm.
When you lock your debit card and you don't use the debit card and you go to credit card and you use a credit card for your transactions and you pay that statement balance at the end of the month, you pay it off, you're
Hmm.
spending the money anyway. There are many credit card offers that will give you money. They will give you money for using their credit card and spending a certain amount of money on that credit card in a certain amount of time.
Miss Kamei, you're tipping into series 3.
Okay, yeah. Because I want people to know what we're talking about, right?
Listen,
These
we need
nuggets that
to.
we're dropping. We are going to tell
Yes.
you how to do that. We are going to give
Hmm.
you the game on
Hmm.
how to continue to generate money, which
Hmm.
in turn is going to fund your generational wealth that you are
There it
creating
is.
for your beneficiaries that you are leaving behind you, right?
Beautiful.
And
Beautiful.
that's where I come in to talk about a last will and testament.
Yes.
Anybody that is over the age of 18 years old should absolutely have a last will and testament. A last will and testament is a legal document that outlines your preferences, your designations. You designate what you want in your last will and testament. It discusses and designates your asset distribution after your death, such
Mm.
as who will inherit your personal belongings, your money, right? This money that we're talking about generating and the savings and these high yield savings account, this money
Correct.
that we get from these credit card companies, right? For using their credit card.
Yep.
Um, who's going to get that when you die? We can't take it with us. Okay.
Mm.
So if you don't have it written down, if you don't have this designation made, if you don't have a beneficiary designation made in your bank account, that's all going to go to probate court. And then the court is going to decide who gets your money, who gets your assets.
Mm.
So,
Wow.
5 important reasons to have a last will and testament prepared. Those of you that know me, you know I'm a registered document preparer. I've worked in law for over 20 years, civil litigation. I've owned my own consulting business since 2013, and
Hmm.
I can prepare business document, legal documents. I love my estate planning clients. I love my estate planning clients because I'm helping them, one, take accountability and responsibility for their
Hmm.
money and their assets, and
Mm.
ensuring that all of that passes down to their beneficiaries without the requirement of probate court. Nobody wants to go to court. Not
Mm.
in civil litigation, not in probate court.
Not in life.
Yeah,
Okay. No.
exactly,
Period.
exactly. So real quick, 5 important reasons to have a last will and testament prepared. Number one, to appoint a guardian for your children.
Oh,
So you parents that have minor children,
you.
I, this message is not intended to upset you, but think about what is going to happen to your minor children if something happens to you.
Mm.
If you don't have a last will and testament prepared, designating what happens to your minor children in the event of your death, if you
Mm.
pass away and you don't have a will, your children will become wards of the court, and the court will at a later time determine what's going to happen to your children
Wow.
because you've made no designation.
Mm.
There are some, parents who unfortunately are divorced and they have children.
Hmm.
And if you think that if something happens to you, that your minor children are going to automatically, go to the custody of your ex-spouse, that is not something you want to roll the dice on,
Mm.
because that is not guaranteed that the court is going to order the custody of your minor children to your ex. That's going to have to go through court. You're going to have to get a
Wow.
court order for that. So from the time you pass away till the time you're able to get in front of a judge to order what happens to your children will be wards of the state.
Hmm.
The
Mm.
simplest way you can avoid that is to have a last will and testament prepared and make that designation where you want the custody of your minor children to go in the event that something happens to you. The number two reason to have a last will and testament prepared, to protect your business. Okay. So we're talking about creating generational wealth.
Mhm.
Most businesses, first generation businesses, Maurcrei, do not last past that first generation. Take a guess why?
I don't
Because
know.
there's no designation for that business.
Oh, so are you saying that parents that want to pass the business down don't
Correct.
designate their kids? Wow.
So
Well,
this is
yeah.
about, yeah. So having a last will and testament prepared, if you own a business, like I
Mm.
own a business,
Mm-hmm.
um, having the designation made in my last will and testament about what's going to happen to my business and
Mm.
who's going to inherit the business, who's going to run the business. And then I
Mm.
have an operating agreement, of course, for the business, correct?
Sure.
So
Right.
in my last will and testament, I have designated who I want to inherit my business. That's
Wow.
how entrepreneurs pass on their business and continue that generational wealth, is because they have it designated in a last will and testament.
I
If you
always
have a
wondered that.
business, yes, if
I
you have
always
a
wondered.
business
Hmm.
and you pass away
Hmm.
and you don't have a last will and testament that designates what you want done with that business is going to close.
Oh,
That business will
yep.
not move on once
Yep.
you're not here any longer. Okay.
Wow.
So if you're creating generational wealth, Maurcrei, like you and I,
Hmm.
we're
Hmm.
got to make those designations in your last will and testament to protect your
Mm.
business, to
Hmm.
create the generational wealth and continue your legacy in your business, right?
Mm. Hmm.
So, the number three reason why you absolutely need to have a last will and testament prepared, you have to designate who is going to inherit a home of your real
Yeah.
property.
Hmm. Hmm.
And if you don't designate who's going to inherit that home, that real property, so guess what? You pass away and you have to go, your estate has to go through probate court, and the judge will order what happens to that real property.
Oh,
If
wow.
you have made no designations,
Mm.
the your heirs at law, so who's in line in your, your family tree essentially,
Hmm.
that's who the court is going to order to inherit your belongings, your heirs at law. And so what if you have an heir at law that you're estranged from?
Mm.
So you're building your wealth today, you're building your estate today, you're building your empire
Hmm. Hmm.
today,
Yeah.
and you have nothing designated. And so, in the event that you pass away, all of your efforts that you are taking today, all of the savings that you are doing today is going to potentially disappear.
Mm.
So, you've got to protect your investments. You've got to protect the estate that you're building
Yeah.
today.
Okay.
Absolutely, without a
Wow.
doubt. Um, Number four, the number four reason why it's important to have a last will and testament.
Mm.
Maurcrei, you own a nonprofit, Lotus Living
Sure do.
Spaces,
Correct. Yep.
transitional housing for women, right?
Correct. Yeah.
I have a nonprofit, Local Vegas Legal Support.
Okay.
I provide tools and resources to the legal support professional in this jurisdiction, right?
Wow. Uh-huh.
So those are nonprofits, those are charities.
Correct.
And so when you've built your empire, you've built your generational wealth, when
Hmm.
you pass away, you may, want a certain amount of money to go to your favorite charity or go to your favorite nonprofit.
Sure.
So if you don't make that designation in your last will and testament, guess what? That charity is not going to receive that donation or the
Oh.
designation that you make. Very,
God.
very important here. And there are many, many people who have exceptional wealth
Hmm.
who give to charities because that's just something that they do.
Right. Right.
There's tax write-offs involved. That's also something that we'll talk about later on in the series in the year.
Hmm.
But they're passionate about that organization, and those organizations really rely on and depend on those sponsors and those grants and those donations to continue the grassroots work that they're doing, right? So you've got to make
Absolutely.
the designation. You've got to make the designation.
Mm.
And then finally, the most important reason why you should have a last will and testament prepared
Okay.
is to make a difficult time less difficult. So let me
Oh.
share a little story with you guys about
Okay.
that.
Okay.
My mom was her health was failing, 2007, and we knew that, eventually she was going to pass away. She had kidney
Hmm.
failure, she was a dialysis patient, and
Mm.
we knew it was a matter of time.
Hmm.
So we had her estate planning documents prepared for her.
Okay. Okay.
She owned a home, she had a vehicle, she had some money in the bank. So me working in law,
Hmm.
I spearheaded this for my mother, made sure,
Okay.
all of her documents were in place, made sure she had a healthcare directive. And that's a very important document that we will talk about in another series.
Okay.
And, while my sister and I were, preparing this for my mother, my sister was a basket case essentially.
Yeah.
She'd lose it and she would get upset. And,
Yeah.
me being in law and working in law, I was very calm. I understood it. It was a
Hmm.
process for me. And so we set up, my mother so that when she passed away, that, I would be her executor. I would be able to, ensure that her designations were, fulfilled essentially.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I will tell you, Mark Ray. The second my mother passed away, the second she passed away, all of that planning went out of the window. I was not able to speak. I couldn't talk.
Mm,
I could barely tell you what my name was.
mm,
And
mm,
my sister had to step in and act as the executor because I essentially could not do it. And this is
mm.
something that we can't prepare for.
Right.
Even when we know our parents are sick or our loved ones are sick or they've got a condition that is irreversible and we think we're prepared, we're not prepared. There's
Mm-mm,
nothing that prepares you for the loss of a family member or a loved one. Nothing will
mm,
prepare you. I'm here
mm,
to tell you, nothing will
mm,
prepare you for that. And when my mother passed away and my sister had to step in and handle the situation,
mm,
because my mother had number one, her healthcare directive, her healthcare power of attorney, and her last will and testament.
mm,
She had designated that she wanted to be cremated. You know, she had all of that designated in her last will and testament.
mm,
That enabled my sister and I to essentially grieve the death of our mother,
mm.
and we didn't have to think about what did she want? Did she want to be
Oh,
buried? Did she
yeah,
want to be cremated?
yeah.
Did she want what kind of funeral did she want? What kind of service did she want? What did, my mom went out like a boss lady herself, Maurcrei. My
Mm,
mom had this beautiful Mercedes-Benz car
wow.
that, she left to my niece essentially, but that was all designated in her last will and testament and within her healthcare directive.
And was that your first opportunity to understand how a last will and testament
Yes.
works? Was okay.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Mm,
Yes. And I
wow.
wasn't, preparing estate planning documents back then, but
Right.
I learned how essential they were.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. Absolutely.
Mm,
So, for any of you who don't have a last will and testament, who don't have a healthcare directive, these are estate planning documents that you absolutely need to
mhm,
protect your financial investments, to continue to build generational wealth in
mm,
designating your beneficiaries and building your generational wealth. And that's what we're here to talk about. That's what the Boss Ladies Break Room is. You guys grab your coffee and
mm.
join us in the break room because we are going to continue to give you these gems and these nuggets in every series that we present to you. I want to remind you guys, if you want more information on the financial literacy information that you get from Boss Lady Maurcrei, go to her website, Creative Consulting Concepts, and schedule a consultation with her. If you are interested in the estate planning documents or any other business legal documents that you potentially need prepared, go to my website, misscamayinternational.com. We'll have the links posted down in the comments.
Mhm.
Go to my website, schedule a consultation with me, and let us help you discuss your financial literacy goals for 2025 and the documents that support that. We are here to educate you. We are here to inspire you, and we are here to empower you to take action in building generational wealth. Let's close out the show today, Maurcrei.
Absolutely. That was so great, Kamei. Thank you so much for filling us in on what that's all about. You've inspired me to actually make better decisions in all of this. And again, as I said before, you guys, think about your ultimate goals. Think about why you're interested in watching a series like this. Why is the Boss Ladies Break Room so important? We know why it's important to us because we've done it all. We've had to go through some hard times, some very exciting times, but it all came down to our decision making behind our finances. And if you can set yourself some goals and follow some of these steps, we will make sure that we are there to back you up. So, catch us in the Boss Ladies Break Room next month, where we're going to be talking about a number of things. I think myself, I'm probably going to go ahead and talk about your financial future, building your financial future. Now that we have our first checklist going, we should be moving up at all times. So we're going to be talking a little bit more about that. We're going to dig deeper into sets of finances and information that you're going to need to be able to take with you out into the world and make right, proper decisions. And then Miss Kamei next month, what do you think?
Yeah, so I'm going to continue to talk about estate planning bundle documents. and
Ooh.
the essential documents that every person needs, and why having a document prepare these essential documents for you is number one, essential, and most affordable.
Mm.
I have clients who their entire estate, their empire, essentially, I like to call it an empire because the whole
Yes,
queen
always.
concept, right?
Always. Hello, hello.
We have to have these essential documents in place.
Mm.
And if the value of your estate or your empire does not exceed the federal threshold, which is over $2 million,
Hmm. Hmm.
there's really no need for any legal advice to have these documents prepared for you.
Mm.
That's really kind of as simple as it is. So
Hmm.
be sure to check us out, you guys, next month, the first Wednesday of every month for the entire year of 2025 at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard
Yeah.
Time. On YouTube, you can catch our series on Creative Consulting Concepts or Miss Camay International on YouTube. We will see you guys next month. Thank you so much for joining us. And remember, subscribe to our YouTube channels and comment on your favorite series. What information do you want? What questions do
Hmm.
you have about financial literacy and the documents that go with that? We want to answer your questions. The Boss Ladies Break Room. Join us next month.
Happy New Year. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
Mwah, mwah. Thanks for joining us in the Boss Ladies Break Room for the Financial Literacy Series.
Remember to like, follow, and subscribe to our YouTube channels at Creative Consulting Concepts or Miss Camay International. And join us the first Wednesday of every month at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time right here on YouTube.